What is going on, everyone? What is going on? Welcome to this week's episode 75 of the STS Guys. I am Jeremy.
Hey, it's Larry. Hey guys, Nate's on mute.
Yeah, say Nate's on mute.
Oops.
No,
Hey
I'm
guys,
Scott.
it's Nate. I'm back. My bad.
That's awesome. Never done that before.
Yeah, I muted it to try to
off with a bang. So that's awesome. Hey, it's nice to have the group back together again. So
Yes, it's been a little bit since we've all been here.
the band is back together.
You know what though? Like I said, I'm gonna pop my own collar right now. Me and Scott's episode last week, I said to do a spoiler-free review of the movie, and for that shit to last over an hour, bam! I'm like,
Yeah.
That episode sounded great. Like I said, the interactions were great. Like I said, it was amazing. So Scott, hats off to you, sir.
I'm so surprised that we didn't like shit the bed and start dropping spoilers mid conversation, because I really thought like we could get maybe a half an hour before we started dropping some bombs.
No,
Yeah, you guys did a great job on that. I was in the chat, and I was like, partially listening. I'm like, okay, if I hear anything that might be spoilery, just get out of there. But yeah, you guys did a good job keeping it non-spoilery. So nice.
It's a good episode.
Yeah.
I was surprised that we could actually carry on a conversation without spoilers for literally as long as we did. I thought it was going to be like a half-hour episode, and that's it.
Yeah.
Especially with just two of us on there. So, like I said, the fact is that we carried it out. Like I said, kudos to Scott. Kudos to both of us, because like I said, that conversation was. I actually listened to that entire episode on the way home from the bus, on the way back home on the bus, and like I said, just sounded really good. So, like I said, it just. But you know what? That's all going to change this week, because, like I said, if you haven't seen Captain Marvel, you've had a week to see it. So now we get to actually talk some spoilers because the rest of the crew has seen it.
Yeah. So like we said, Jeremy and I would give you guys a week. We would give you a week. There's some spoilery shit that we have to talk about. I think Jeremy and I's negatives need to be reviewed now with a spoiler lens applied to them.
Absolutely.
I think a week is fair enough. If you really want to see the movie, you'll see it within a week. I was dying to see it. I didn't get to see it until today, but I'm glad that I did for this.
Yep, I went last night, so we're all finally caught up.
Awesome.
Yep.
So before we get too far into that, Larry, I said I know you have a couple shout outs to give, right?
I do. So, as you know, we record our podcast live on YouTube Saturday nights, and I think we forget to give shout outs to our audio listeners. So, special shout out to all the audio listeners, but a couple in particular, Ed and Jessica, Mr. and Mrs. Butt Wasted. So shout out to Ed. I know he's been listening to the audio version and like reposting it as soon as it drops. So thank you, Ed. You're awesome. Totally appreciate you. And we got a shout out from Clint Crockett too. So shout out to Clint. He tweeted out that he was listening to us, the Funcast, and the new podcast, Secondary Heroes, which is pretty awesome. So thank you, Clint. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you to all our audio listeners. I know we forget about you sometimes, but we appreciate you guys too.
Now, Larry, like I said, so besides giving the things, where can, like I said, if someone doesn't catch us live, where can they listen to us at?
You can listen to us just about anywhere that you can listen to podcasts. We're on SoundCloud. We're on Spotify. You can get us on iTunes, Google Play, and you can also listen to us on a new app called Podcoin. Podcoin is an app that actually pays you to listen to podcasts. For like every 10 minutes you listen, you earn these pod coins, and then you get enough pod coins, you can turn it into like Amazon gift cards and other cool stuff. It's in the iTunes App Store. It's on Google Play. It's called Podcoin. I've been listening to it this week. We're actually in the top 10. These guys don't even know. We've actually made it to we're number 9 on the top 10 podcasts on Podcoin right now.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
If they only actually listened, that would change.
Right. Oh, Emily says you can also listen to us on Castbox. So yes, thank you, Emily. You name it, we're probably there.
Right. Most of those places are very happy to put content on. So as many places we can find, we usually get added in.
Well, the funny thing is, like I said, half the time, like I said, we find out like after the fact that we're on like a platform. Like, so for example, we get this email one time. I'm just gonna tell a story before we get too far. We get this email one time saying, "Hey, congratulations, your podcast is now on Podknife."
Yeah.
Yeah, we were like,
Some
wait,
random podcast platform.
Right.
yeah, we got a couple of them where they're like, yeah, like we're gonna use your feed and like put your show, and we're like, okay. But yeah, I love how it's like it's now on there. It wasn't like a hey, can we do it? It's like just to let you know, we're gonna try to take some listeners.
Yeah, it's interesting.
No matter where you
Nice.
listen, we appreciate all of you. So thank you.
I agree.
Well, and in terms of that appreciation, like I said, every once in a while we do giveaways. So we do have a current giveaway going on. Larry, so what kind of stuff are we giving away this time?
So we have an active giveaway. It is the Super Mega Super Smash Bros. Prize Pack giveaway.
Wait, did you say Super Mega Super Smash Brothers prize pack giveaway?
I think he said Super Mega Super Smash Brothers prize pack giveaway.
He did say Super Mega Super Smash Brothers prize pack giveaway.
I did say Super Mega Super Smash Bros. Prize Pack giveaway. Oh, it feels good to do that again.
I just have to say how we played a really we got them all right, but we played that old telephone game. We go around. We had too many words that we were all going like Super Mega.
Right.
Yeah.
Super.
I instantly started getting stressed. I'm like, oh god, I can't screw this up.
It makes your head hurt a little bit, but it's an awesome giveaway. You can win a Nintendo eShop gift card, which you can use for whatever you want. You play Fortnite, go get yourself some V-Bucks. You want to download a game, go download a game. It's your money. Got a Mario amiibo because amiibos are still awesome. And it wouldn't be a Super Mega prize pack giveaway without a couple pops. So you can get that 8-bit Chase Ryu and a pretty awesome Sonic Pop holding some rings.
That sounds pretty epic and pretty mega.
That sounds super mega.
Yep. So you can head over to, it's going on for like 3 more weeks. You can head over to stsguys.fun. All the details are in a video on our YouTube page. It's got the link there to the links on all our social media. It's super easy. stsguys.fun. It's through Gleam. You just do a couple actions, check out our YouTube page or like us on Facebook, and you get entries. And we'll announce the winner live on the podcast right here on YouTube on Saturday, April 6th.
That sounds pretty super mega. I can't wait to see who wins.
For sure.
For sure. All right.
Okay. So let's get into kind of the Captain Marvel aspect of things here. So Jeremy and I, let's recap here. Our scores were me 3.5, you 4, right?
Yeah.
So okay, so now we need to get everyone else's scores in there. Nate, let's get the score first.
All right. So first thing about Captain Marvel, this one's one of the different Marvel movies, but that's one thing I actually really like about it. It was self-contained. It wasn't relying really on anything else, no other characters. I'm going to go a little higher and say a 4.5, and it might be just because I watched it today, but I actually really, really enjoyed it.
Whoa, crazy. That's high praise. Like I liked it too. Like you said, it stands alone, which I've come to realize that most of these solo movies, they're just going to stand alone. I think one of the big problems I had with Black Panther is it didn't kind of tie into the whole thing like I wanted it to. That was my fault for having preconceived notions. That's one thing I didn't have going into Captain Marvel. So I'm learning to be a better audience member on these things too. I'd say it was good. I'd give it a 3 out of 5.
So we each have a different rating for the movie, and so that's that. I'm curious to kind of see where this fits into basically our entire ranking of the MCU. So we're going to get to that here in a second. So let's just do kind of a quick little recap, conversation about Captain Marvel real quick, and then we'll jump into basically where we asked our audience to basically give us their top five MCU movies, and then all the STS guys went through their top MCU movies.
We'll say the top 21.
Yeah, we ranked the entire MCU from 1 to 21
to date.
Yeah.
That is a feat and a half.
From Iron Man to Captain Marvel.
Wow. Like I said, from beginning to end.
Yep.
No,
Ha.
so
Getting to end game.
So,
Right?
I see what you did.
Smooth.
See where I'm going?
All right, so Nate, I want to go with you first, just because I said you gave it a rating of a 4.5, and so gonna give me some backstory of why you gave it that rating, kind of some things you liked, some things you didn't like, and like I said, feel free. It's like I said, it's okay to spoil, and now that you've
Yes.
seen, so sorry, audience, close your ears if you don't want to hear spoilers.
There you go. Spoiler
I'll try not to
warning
spoil
right
it
there.
too much until we get to more of the details. But the thing that I really loved, one of the main things I loved about Captain Marvel, it was a real treat for the fans that have been there since the beginning. There's so many throwbacks to older movies and connections to older characters, and the development of Nick Fury, which has been there from the beginning. It's just a really cool, like, creative story. And like I said, it felt different. At first, I wasn't sure if I liked it. I'm like, I don't know if I like this. This feels a lot different. But as I watched it, as I saw the story develop, I'm like, this is a really cool addition to the Avengers line and a totally different aspect and a really powerful character that's got a diverse background, and you get to learn a lot about who she is. And they developed the story really well. There's some good twists and turns. But I thought Brie Larson actually did a really good job for the role. I get that she gets a lot of flack for like not having emotion, but I thought she played the role really well. And it was cool to see her kind of develop her powers as the movie went on. But yeah, overall, I mean, it just felt really fresh and original, and it makes me really excited for Endgame, especially those end credit scenes.
So real quick, and I also want to get your quick thoughts on the very beginning of the movie. So how about that tribute to Stan? Wasn't that cool?
Oh, dude, that was so cool. Seeing the the open credit scene, and it's all just Stan shots, and then you get to see Stan in the movie. You know, he's on the train, and they played such a cool tribute to him, and that was amazing to see. It was a nice surprise too, because I didn't really know that was in the movie or in the beginning, but it immediately made me start smiling. I'm like, this is cool.
No, I was telling Scott last week, I was the guy in the theater who started the clap.
There were some people that clapped and I joined along.
Not the disease, an actual clap.
Yeah.
It's Stan, man. You have to clap for Stan. I mean, he was so iconic.
So
such a huge contribution to what we've been able to enjoy these last 10 or 12 years now.
No, absolutely. So Larry, let me get your high level thoughts real quick in regards to kind of what you thought, some highs and lows for you in regards to the movie.
So I really enjoyed it. Like Nate said, I think Brie Larson did a really good job. Right, she's a likable character. Like Nate was talking about, like, no emotion and stuff, or some of the criticisms. Like, I think maybe that was partly because, like, she's still figuring out who she is. I kind of liked how we got to figure out who she is, like, as she's figuring out who she is. And that part was really cool. Like the 90s stuff, like, I don't know, like I'm getting a little bit over the throwback, like all the music and stuff. I know you guys were okay with it. And yeah, I liked it better than like Umbrella Academy, but like, I don't know. Like I was thinking too the other day, like, what do kids think about all these throwback songs? Like I'm trying to place myself in their shoes. Like, what do they think about like a No Doubt song? Like, I assume they think these are all just these dinosaur bands, kind of like we would think, like if they played like an Elvis Presley song, like when we were little or something, right? Like, it's these oldies. Why are they putting on all these oldies?
God, you made me feel so old, Larry.
No,
it's absolutely what it is.
But think about like Guardians with like the late 70s and things. Like, there was enough of that in the 80s when we were like growing up and stuff that we got, some of those references were still there. But
but Nine Inch Nails, Nirvana, they're all dinosaur bands now, man. Like,
true. So it's just, I don't get, like, I think kids think it's just like their parents' fogey stuff.
Yeah, exactly, right? Old people hanging on Facebook, listening to REM, like, whatever.
I did like that throwback music, though, even though, like you guys were saying, it makes me feel old. I'm like, yes.
Like, it was cool to hear like all those bands in a movie. Yeah, like that was cool.
Well, and that part where she goes to Radio Shack and she makes that communicator thing, and you see a part of a Game Boy, you're like, that's cool. There's a lot of throwback stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like the Radio Shack part. That was cool. And the 9 Inch Nails shirt, that was fine. Like the Happy Days lunchbox was pretty awesome. Like it.
First off, Larry, of course you would love the Happy Days lunchbox.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So real quick, just because you brought up the lunchbox, so obviously that lunchbox plays a key part, right? So in regards to like holding a certain item and things like that. But like I said, this is where I'm going to throw my hat in the ring again and basically say, you know what, this is going to happen. Secret Invasion. I said the Secret Invasion storyline is definitely a real thing because so that lunchbox isn't a new lunchbox. That lunchbox is an old lunchbox from like the from the late 60s, early 70s. Meaning basically there were scrolls around back in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. So there could be more that we don't know about.
There could be more but we don't know about.
Right? It wasn't like an Alf lunchbox or something that was relevant in the late 80s.
Yeah.
That's fair. But like, hold on. So like scrolls, right? Are the scrolls good guys or are they bad guys?
I'm going to quote.
Okay, no, can I? I know what you're going to quote.
Scott.
Can I just put this one? Do you think that, as he said, they're the only ones around? Because they implicitly say in the movie there's a lot of different groups because they got splintered.
Yeah. Well, it's that, and then it's a quote that Kevin Feige said. It's like he came back and said because that was a lot of criticism that he got in regards to why'd you make the Skrulls good guys in this movie, and the exact quote was I can't quote it exactly, but it was basically in terms of, hey, are all humans good? There's good humans and bad humans. Just like there's like, hey, there could be good Skrulls and bad Skrulls. So it's just because a certain percentage of the population is bad doesn't mean that entire race is bad. So it's just a matter of, and that's basically what Kevin Feige was saying when to this reporter in regards to the reason why they chose the Skrulls as a protagonist in this situation rather than an antagonist.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that was definitely an interesting flip for me because I went in just thinking these were going to be the bad guys. The whole movie is kind of built up that way. But then, I mean, even though they turn somewhat good, it's only really because they have the same goal towards the end. Like she realizes, okay, I've been lied to. They're actually not as good as they say they are. So now we have to team up because we have the same goal. And then she goes away for what, like 24 years to try to help them find a homeland or something. That to me, I wish they would tell us a little bit more. Maybe Captain Marvel 2 is going to expand on that a little bit, but that's a lot of time to be helping those people.
Captain Marvel 2 will be centered around Y2K.
That would actually be pretty awesome.
That would be really cool.
It would be actually kind of cool that one of they're on there and one of their ships would break or something because
the
Scrolls are freaking out.
Yeah, exactly. They weren't Y2K compliant. Like that would actually be quite funny.
That would actually be funny. I would actually pay to watch a movie where, like I said, a spaceship wasn't Y2K compliant.
So before we move on, I have a very important point. Nate talked about it, right? Like this, I going into this, I thought the Skrulls were the bad guys, and it ends up being Jude Law, which I owe you guys, and I told you so because I believe there's an episode where I said that they didn't specifically mention Jude Law's character name, and he's probably the bad guy. And I remember somebody, maybe Scott, being like, "No, he's Marvel, he's Marvel."
Everyone thought he was. That was one of the things that like it threw me on the movie was Marvel being a scientist and not just kind of a superhero.
Yeah,
and, kind of making that thing that they're not a hero like in the comics, but it's this person that's like just trying to make an engine, like that. That threw me.
She's down low doing stuff, but so right, Jude Law's the bad guy, and it's that kind of classic misdirection. But I'll say that one of the things that I didn't like about Captain Marvel was the fact that it was that misdirection, that the Skrulls weren't the bad guy, because then I think it kind of makes Jude Law. He's kind of a weak villain. Like, so precedent, right? They've done this before. Mandalorian in Iron Man 3. That movie, right? That was one of the weaker MCU movies. What was the other?
He did. He said it. He said Mandalorian, Jeremy. I knew you were going to call him on that.
Oh man, never mind.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, the Boba
Mandarin,
Fett.
yeah.
Sorry, the Mandarin. The Boba Fett movie. Yeah, okay, the Mandarin.
I knew you were going to call him, and you tried to
Oh,
stop
no.
yourself, but I got it.
I deserve that. Thank you. So Mandarin, not Boba Fett. The guy named after an orange. And then what was the other movie where they did misdirection? I totally just forgot what it was because I got sidetracked on Boba Fett related items.
Guardians 2 with
Guardians 2 again, weak.
Yep.
There was another big one that I'm spacing right now.
Winter Soldier.
Oh, kind of Winter Soldier. No, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Where right trailers and all that, we thought Ghost was going to be the bad guy, and then no, it's just right. It's not
Walter Goggins or Groggins.
Yeah, that's a stupid guy, right? Again, weak villain. I think when they do that misdirection, it ends up like making the villains a little bit weaker, which is like one of the common complaints about Marvel movies, and they just did it again. I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about that.
They kind of did that in Black Panther too with Claw, right? Like I thought Claw was going to be a bigger villain. He ends up getting thrown away pretty easily, and then Killmonger takes the show.
So I have a theory, and I have a thought on this. It doesn't really bother me that much, and here's why. And I think that some of these, like I said, these independent movies, like I said, if it was this larger than life villain in regards to, like I said, it has to be believable that this one person can stop them. Right. And rather than it's going to take a team of people, like I said, where the threat's so big, it's like going to take, like I said, the Avengers to stop somebody. So in regards to like the weaker villains, like I said, yeah, some of them are like totally weak. Like I honestly think, kind of to your point, Nate, that Claw could have been like an entire villain for a Black Panther movie. I wish they wouldn't have actually killed him off.
Me too.
This just lets him come back in his all sound form.
Yeah. So I think they could do a little bit better on the villains, but as far as like I said, being like kind of weak villains for some of these movies, like I said, that point doesn't bother me just because, like I said, it makes them a believable villain in regards to where this person can overtake them without the help of somebody else.
I think that's a great point. And even though these villains may be more weak, what Marvel's really good about giving us is more and more content about classic villains that we know about and we've read about, and it's cool to see them on screen. Sometimes you wish they were used a little bit differently or they got some more screen time, but ultimately we're getting so much more content and just keeps building out this world.
Yeah. So before we get, like I said, into the ratings real quick, I think another important thing to discuss, just because now, Nate, that you've seen it because it got ruined by Instagram stories for you. I think we need to discuss the Infinity War Endgame. Oh, I'm sorry, the Avengers Endgame trailer. I think that has to be a point of discussion. So, what did you guys think of the trailer?
Good trailer. Like, it didn't show too much. Like Scott and I watched it on Thursday when it first dropped, and Nate's like, "Don't talk about it. I don't want to see it." And I'm like, I turned to Scott. I'm like, "There really didn't spoil that much. Like, it was really trailer.
Nothing."
No, right? Half of it is just flashbacks to the old movies, which was fine, right? I really think for a trailer, like I think they're learning, don't show too much, and that's what Endgame just did.
No, I agree with that. And then I like the fact that too, like I said, just even in that very first trailer that came out, I said you can tell that they doctored that very first trailer compared to the second trailer. Because like I said, the first trailer didn't have them in their spacesuits versus the second trailer, same exact shot, had them in their spacesuits. Like, and it makes you wonder what else has been basically doctored in some of these trailers in regards to make it fit the trailer rather than actually fit the movie.
Right.
That's a valid point. And I texted you guys this, like Larry said, I tried to avoid the trailer. I know it's hard to do, especially on social media nowadays. Everybody puts it in their story and their posts. I ended up seeing it that way. But Endgame is one of those movies I'm so excited for. It's like the end of an era, and I just don't want to be spoiled at all. And I texted the guys and I said, it didn't show a whole lot, but what it did do is confirmed that Ant-Man and Tony get saved. So even though we've seen Tony stranded in space multiple times, they created all this suspense in the first trailer. They already kind of squashed it. It's like, all right, don't worry. They're okay. They're with the team.
So
but then here's the question. They did that with the Hulk.
Yeah.
in the last one. That
Right.
they showed
Wakanda
him in a scene
Mhm.
and he's not there, so they could have
Yeah.
they just picked them
What if-
out and placed them somewhere, from thing again, as Jeremy said, misdirection.
Very
Yeah,
true.
I think Ant-Man's fine, but what if Tony's not really there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, yeah, you guys
What if
nailed it.
that's-
They did the same thing before, so there's a chance they can
Yep.
do it again.
So yeah, they've got
that's
that
actually
going
a
for them
rebuilt
too now.
vision. Yeah.
Yeah, like we don't trust them anymore too, which is interesting. So even if they show us stuff, it's like it might not be real.
It could be a scroll.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh
It
God.
could be.
Too soon.
Yes.
Yes.
No, I said I can't wait to have a Larry I told you so moment. I said when that finally happened, it's gonna happen. I said I know it's gonna happen now. I said if anything Captain Marvel did for me, it made me do that. One thing Captain Marvel did for me though, I said I know we're getting off track because we were talking about the trailer. One thing Captain Marvel did for me though was it made me want to go back and rewatch and retrace a couple steps because. Yeah. When the Tesseract showed up in Captain Marvel, I had I started scratching my head. I'm like, where did that come from?
Yeah,
that's a great point.
I'm like, I knew. I said, Shield had. I thought because I thought Shield had it at that point in time. And so why did Marvel have this in order to create this engine? So I actually went back and rewatched Captain America: The First Avenger, which kind of played into actually my ratings because upon rewatching that movie after seeing all these other movies, I had actually a new appreciation for First Avenger. Like,
yeah, I noticed that one was high up on your list.
Yeah, it jumped up in my rankings. I said a lot. Like I said, I rewatched it. I'm like, man, this is actually a really good movie. Like, I got so overexcited for like all the flashiness of the newer movies, and I'm not a fan of period movies as it is anyways, and so I think that's why it had an original distaste for me. But I rewatched it, and I'm like, this is actually a really good movie, and seeing and being able to actually trace the steps of the Tesseract in that movie to see, okay, it went from Red Skull, and then down the ocean, Howard Stark recovers it, and then basically Howard Stark was actually involved with Project Pegasus.
Right.
Cool. Even a mention of that, like I said, that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say you actually see that plaque later in the first Avengers movie, but now it now says Shield and Pegasus joint venture on the same plaque into the underground tunnel.
I'm so glad you guys brought that up because I was immediately going to ask one of you, does that tie out like the way that happened with the Tesseract? Because I kept thinking about, well, that was back in the 50s, and then it gets into the ocean. I couldn't really connect the dots of where it would end up. If it made sense.
By rewatching Captain America: First Avenger, I was able to retrace the steps and to confirm it does line up with the story.
Everything about it says, this is fine. Like it can be in space at that point.
Cool.
Nah, that's where I was like completely I'm like, okay. Once that showed back up, I'm like, I'm like, okay. I'm like, does this? I'm like, I actually kind of can't wait for Captain Marvel to come out on Blu-ray just so I can rewatch it, just because I think that actually took away from some of the movie for me, just because I spent probably the last 20-30 minutes trying to retrace it in my head in regards to basically the timeline of the Tesseract and how it could have ended up there. And so where I immediately came home and rewatched Captain America: The First Avenger after watching Captain Marvel, just so I can see. I'm like, I need to confirm this because otherwise it's going to drive me nuts in regards to does this line up with the story? And like I said, in fact, it actually does line up quite well. There's actually a couple different mentions of one, Howard Stark having it, Project Pegasus, and then even in some of the journals in Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3, when he's reading through his dad's journals, it actually references basically Project Pegasus and also, like I said, the Power Cube, this power source, and it actually has drawn sketches of this power source.
Right,
that's cool.
He actually draws the diagram of a Tesseract.
So to all the stuff, it's just weird to see all the stuff that was all in all these movies that have been there the entire time, but at the time you just didn't realize what importance they would play until, like I said, something towards the very end I said of basically these three phases of the MCU. So it's weird, but it's also part of the creative genius of Kevin Feige himself.
It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
All
good
right,
point.
Cool. So Larry, you said you had a couple of people respond, right, to our question of what was it, top 5?
Yeah, earlier this week I posted up on our social media and said, "Hey, send me your top 5 Marvel movies." Didn't want all 21 because that would take forever, but we got a few here. Let's see. So I'm just going to run through them real quick, right? And then we can talk about it. So friend of the channel, Russ, man, who is on Instagram at RLM_comics_and_collectibles. Russ's top 5 were Infinity War, Civil War, Ragnarok, Winter Soldier, and Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Matthew's Nerdy Nation, who's Matthew's Nerdy on Instagram. His top 5 are Homecoming, Black Panther, Guardians, Ant-Man, and the First Avenger. So some similarities right there already. We got top 5 from the real Jasmine Sherman on Instagram, who has a great podcast called Flip It and Reverse It with her and her guy buddy. Check that out if you got a minute. Her top 5 were Infinity War, Guardians, Homecoming, Avengers, and Age of Ultron. Got 2 more. So, friend of the channel, Clint Crockett, Collector Clint on Twitter, and check him out on Twitch. Every Tuesday, he does some awesome Nintendo live streams at Clint Crockett on Twitch. His top 5 were Infinity War, Ant-Man, Guardians, Winter Soldier, and Iron Man. Last one, friend, part of the STS fam, Travis Moore, who is More For Me on Twitter, said his top 5 are Infinity War, Civil War, Doctor Strange, and Ant-Man. So what do you guys think? A lot of similarities, right? Almost everybody had Infinity War. Couple ones that I don't have so high on my list. Maybe no, not really. It's a pretty solid list, right? A lot of Avengers or Civil War related ones. A lot of people like Spider-Man.
I was gonna say one of the big ones I saw was Winter Soldier came up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Winter Soldier, Infinity War. That one popped up a few times. And a couple surprises on there too. Like so, there's like that Age of Ultron. And I said that one kind of surprised me. Which like I said, I thought Age of Ultron was a good movie. Just for me personally, like I said, it was more middle of the pack. But like I said, it's nice to see that holds, like I said, such value. Like I said, with some different people. That's great.
Yeah, I really like Age of Ultron, so you'll see that's high on my list. But I'm surprised only one person mentioned Black Panther. Everybody supposedly loves Black Panther. Not me.
Not me.
I mean, it's okay. All right. Well, how do we want to do our rankings?
So let's just go through. I'll start with our top 5 based on
cumulative, right?
Cumulative score.
The official STS Guys MCU ranked.
Right. So,
well, explain how I said you did the rankings and how.
So basically, what we did here is we each gave a ranking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to each of the movies, and what I did is I took whatever the total score was at the end. I took the film with the lowest score overall, is going to be the one at the top of our list. So let's go through the top 5 here.
Bottom up.
Okay. Well, which one do you think? Oh, you want to go? Okay. You want to go from the bottom. You want to go bottom 5. All right.
What's the least favorite?
This is what great thing is. I said that outside of that whole list, we had one tie. That is for The Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 3. Both are in the bottom 20 with an EVA score that all 4 of the STS guys ranked it either the 20th or 21st movie between the two of them to get they have an equivalent score. We actually scored them both the same, just flip-flopped.
That is awesome.
Yeah, for me, like there's definite tiers. And it was kind of a toss-up. So Both, yeah, bleh, right?
Yeah.
Very poor in the MCU.
That was the only one that there was like no general like negative outliers for that one. That was very interesting. Okay, so after that, we have the first Thor, then Iron Man 2, then Thor the Dark World. So that comes in at 17.
Ouch. I really like Dark World, but I'm one of the few people, even though I don't know how low I had it, but I had it pretty low.
You and I think, put it about about the same. It was generally about between 16 and 19 for all of us. That one was actually pretty unanimous.
Right? It's that lower 2/3.
Now, the next two surprised me even more, because this is where Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Ant-Man and the Wasp end up.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds about right.
It doesn't surprise me. Like I said,
they came out they came out around the same time too. Like I wonder if there's something to that, but not my favorite.
Some of those mid-tier guys here. So now this is the one Jeremy, both sequels. Yeah, so both the sequel ones, which it reminds me why they are down on the list.
Here, partly here. Let me say this real quick. So I just they're sequels, but I think they're both for me anyways. They're both were kind of doomed anyways, just because of where they fell at on basically the release schedule of Marvel movies. So Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I said came out. That came out after Age of Ultron. Was that the next one after Age of Ultron? I know it came after like a big it came after Civil War.
Yeah.
And so basically you have like this Avengers 2.5 movie, and then you're basically expecting this next movie to really connect, like I said, interconnect the MCU universe, and this is really going to be a strong puzzle piece in that universe, and it fizzled out and wasn't. Same thing kind of with Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like I said, you had Infinity War. They said that was the next movie to come out, and you're expecting like, hey, you know what? This is really going to tie in. Like I said, there's going to be something that's going to really kind of be a building block from that last movie, and there wasn't. And I think for me, anyways, I think that's what kind of like scored those movies down lower for me, just because the timing of their releases were almost a personal letdown for me, just because they didn't really have an impact as far as story goes for me.
Yeah. I agree with that. And Ant-Man and the Wasp felt like the Wasp and Ant-Man. It was like more Wasp. Just let's introduce this supporting character, focus a little bit less on Ant-Man. I mean, his suit was broken the entire movie.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah. It had issues. And I was like, we could talk about it. There's a whole podcast on it, but I was very disappointed by Ghost. I actually rewatched that like a week ago because it's on Netflix right now, but it's just not it's fine, but it's not a great movie.
Yeah. I think that for me is big too. Like, how willing am I to go back and rewatch a movie? And I know some of these that are like really high on my list, I've seen multiple times.
Yeah, same. And like, that's might not be fair to some of the ones that we haven't spent that much time on. Like when I rewatched Ant-Man and the Wasp, it was only the second time I had seen it, where I've seen like Winter Soldier and maybe Guardians of, 5 or 6 times. And like Jeremy's talking about First Avenger a couple minutes ago, I couldn't tell you the last time I watched First Avenger. It's probably been like 8 years or something. So like some of these, like I probably haven't spent the right amount of time on either. There's 21 freaking movies now, man. It's crazy.
Too many. It's too many.
Yeah.
So
there's too many.
Let's move down the list here. So coming in at 14, Captain America: The First Avenger.
Hey, I just mentioned that.
You did. Down from that, Spider-Man: Homecoming, and then Age of Ultron.
Ooh.
And let's just drop it in here. Black Panther is the last one we have in this little grouping, coming in at number 11.
Wow, outside of the top 10.
I was surprised.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Who? Because I think I had. Let me check mine real quick. So I had Black Panther at 8, right? So Black Panther is definitely in my top 10. Who had Black Panther outside of their top 10?
I did. I think I'm pretty sure.
I did. Actually, me and Jeremy both put it at 12.
Mine's the exact same as Larry. I had it as 8.
Yeah. So we both had kind of another decisive split on that one. Yeah, like it's not my top 10 anymore. Like, it may have been before a few movies before it, but unfortunately it's dropped out of the top 10.
It's surprising because I remember you really, really liking that movie when it came out.
I really, really did.
Right, way more than me.
Yes, but after rewatching it and other ones, like Jeremy said, like you rewatch some of them sometimes, and those those older movies sometimes grow on you. And there's a few that I watched.
Scott, can you read the individual scores for Captain America: First Avenger?
Captain America: First Avenger. So yours is what's throwing off this one. I had 17. You put it at 5. Larry was at 15, and Nate gave it a 16.
Yeah, like I knew it gained for me. Like I said, I'm curious for you. Like I said, I'm gonna give you guys some homework. Like I said, over the next couple weeks or so, go back and rewatch that movie. Like you'll honestly have a new appreciation for it, of kind of where it ties into the MCU, especially kind of with, like I said, the whole Captain Marvel aspect now. Like I gained a whole nother appreciation for that movie. Like I said, it's amazing. Like it's I didn't think it was gonna jump that far for me, but I said I came home, rewatched it right after Captain Marvel, and I had such a bigger appreciation for that movie.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm looking at my list right now. I had it at 15, but I have it below. The two right above it are Ragnarok and Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I didn't really like either of those. So I can see how I could easily move First Avenger up 2 spots if I was to watch it and appreciate it a little more. So
yeah.
That's a good
fine,
point.
Mr. Jeremy. I'll go do some homework.
No, I think that's a solid point. Now that we've seen Captain Marvel, I'm interested just to see that connection back into it. So that would probably make me appreciate that movie more.
All right, Scott, continue.
Okay, so let's go through. So now we're breaching into the STS Guys top 10.
Drum roll.
Coming in at number 10, Captain America: Civil War.
I'm a little bit surprised this wasn't a little higher.
Yeah, that one kind of threw me. I thought it would be up there.
This was number 5 for me.
What's the range for everybody, Scott?
They're all pretty good. So you got me at 9, you 10, Larry 11, and Nate at 5.
So yeah, that's right. That's about where it should be.
Yeah. So it's just. I thought it would be a little bit higher because I knew I had dropped my score, and I thought I was going to be an outlier on that one. So that was that was an interesting one.
I think I've rewatched that one somewhat recently, and I do appreciate it more than I did the first viewing. This is one of the ones that I had expectations on, and it just met none of them. So like walking out of the theater, I'm just like, oh, that movie wasn't that great. Like. And the trailer showed a lot. But like rewatching it, trying to separate myself from those preconceived notions, like it's not a bad movie, but it still didn't crack my top 10 because the top 10 is just so packed.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was one of my more favored movies in the MCU. I've seen it a ton of times, and every time I see it, I gain more and more appreciation for the huge story they're creating in that. Just the way they're able to, break the Avengers apart. It actually makes a lot of sense. Like, they're focusing on these things that are really emotional aspects for these characters. I love that movie. All right, continue on.
Let's move on here. So, coming in at number 9, Doctor Strange.
That's a fitting spot for it. Like I said, because that's another movie where once I rewatched it, I had a better appreciation for it. I actually liked it more when I viewed it at home than I did in the theater. Partly because I think the theater kind of just like tripped me out because of the kaleidoscope effect of a lot of the special effects. That was a little hard to watch in the theater, especially with glasses and reflections and stuff like that. But watching it at home, and honestly, the development of the character, Benedict Cumberbatch does a great job developing that character, and then to see that how he carried that through into like Infinity War and also a little bit into Ragnarok as well. It makes me excited for a Doctor Strange 2.
Yes, I'm dying to see more of that character. I appreciate him way more than I originally thought I ever would. But I totally agree with you. Cumberbatch does an amazing job.
Yeah, I agree. Like he was after Infinity War, right? All the buzz was around Doctor Strange, and like I enjoyed the first, the standalone movie, but I feel like he just gained a new appreciation after Infinity War. So it'll be interesting to see his role in Endgame.
Hey, real quick on the Funko front, that's another thing that surprised me. We never got a Doctor Strange Infinity War Funko Pop.
Yeah, no, you're right. There were a bunch for Doctor Strange, the movie, but
Yeah. That one kind of boggles my mind a little bit.
Yeah,
especially with how well he was received in the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I could do like a multiple arms one.
That would be cool.
I was hoping for maybe for San Diego Comic-Con. I said maybe there's still hope.
Maybe, man. Like they're still making Justice League pops, so like I don't know. But by San Diego, Endgame will have been out for like 3 months, so you'd think that they'd be focused on Endgame, but who knows? It's all right. There's a ton of pops. We'll survive.
Yeah. All right, so let's go on. So this is where our new girl shows up here. Captain Marvel comes in at number 8.
It's pretty high, man. That's actually really high.
This is another one of those where generally we had a lot of consensus that, I mean, Larry, you were the kind of outlier here in terms of where we put it. But yeah, a lot of us put it right at 8. I think it was 8 for me and Jeremy. Yeah,
I mean that's strong though, right? To be in your top 10. It's I had it at 12, so just outside my top 10. But it was a good movie. I wonder how much that impact though was the fact that it was so fresh in your guys' mind.
It could be. Again, we'll go through this. I mean, we have Endgame and Spider-Man coming up, so we got to redo this again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it drops the next time we do this.
Yeah.
Oh, spoiler alert! We're gonna do this again sometime.
Oh
guys.
Yeah.
maybe it'll be like a annual like March thing or something, or once every year.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So let's go on. So coming in number 7, we have Ant-Man.
Nice. I brought that one up.
Larry had that pretty high on his list. Yeah.
Number 3, baby.
And it's number 6 for me. It's not my top 5, but it's up there.
Yeah, I know some people don't like it, but I really like Paul Rudd, and it was just a good, fun comic book movie.
Yeah, I mean, I really did like it, but it's kind of middle of the road for me. I ranked it at 12. Even though I think it's a great movie, it's not up there as one of the top 10s for me.
Cool. So let's move in here. We have 6 is Thor Ragnarok. I got to look at this because I think that moved down for somebody because that was number 5 in our old top 5.
Dun dun dun.
I'm
gonna guess it's Larry.
It was Larry.
No. So
Larry is the one that did bring that one down.
Did I move it even further down than I had it last time?
I think a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm looking at my list right now. I've got it at 14. I just didn't like. I don't know. I didn't enjoy Ragnarok as much as like the rest of the world did. But
yeah, me and Nate both have it at 4. Jeremy has it at 6.
You had it at
14.
No, he had it
at 13 last time, Larry. So
so I dropped it down. I dropped it down one spot, which is Captain Marvel. So that makes sense.
Captain Marvel knocked it down here. So let's get into our top 5 here.
Five.
Right. Rounding out the list at number 5. Is Iron Man 2008.
Solid spot.
Yes.
That's the MCU. That's solid.
Right. Yeah, like I would be hard pressed to not put the kickoff movie in the top 5.
I really love Iron Man. I love Warmonger in there. I think he's a great villain. It was cool to see 2 Iron Mans kind of face each other, and that end fight scene just does it for me.
Yeah, even all the early stuff where he's in the desert, like making the suit and all that. Like those are the scenes that stand out in my head the most. Is actually like the first like 30 minutes or an hour. Like it's still it was outside my top 5, but it was a really good movie.
Really strong origin story.
Yeah. So, which brings us to another first. At number 4 is Marvel's The Avengers. That's that first kind of team up, and another one you're hard pressed not to put in your top.
No, like how amazing was that though? Like in regards to like a cinematic feat, like I said, just that first entry, that first team up movie, like this, like how are they gonna pull this off? Like they've had all these build up movies. There's so much hype. Like I said, at the end of Iron Man, that first when I said when you almost missed it because I said you didn't stick around for any credit scenes. Just but now, like I said, the entire theater is packed full of people watching end credit scenes because now it's expected to have something else in regards to the movie. When Nick Fury, Samuel Jackson steps out, I'd like to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative. Like how awesome was that? Also, plus, like I said, kind of quick plug for Captain Marvel. How awesome was it in regards to basically where he came up with the name of the Avenger Initiative?
That was cool.
Stole it.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. So yeah, I have to say, I say this though, Nate, but I gotta give you some crap because you did put that one really low.
It was 13th on my list. I really like the Avengers, but I just thought the follow-ups that did the team-ups did it better. Even though it was one of the first ones, I just felt like Age of Ultron felt like a better team-up movie to me. So I actually ranked Age of Ultron a little higher than the Avengers.
That's fair. I had all 3 Avengers movies back to back to back, but the first Avengers was my lowest of the 3.
I mean, it was great at the time, and it was a feast. Like Harvey says in the chat, it was a feast for the eyes getting to see all the characters come together. Yeah. I just feel like they've done those team ups better from now on.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
They kind of learned from the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, I really enjoyed all 3 of the Avengers movies plus Civil War, because Civil War was basically an Avengers movie. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like for when I was ranking the Infinity War, Age of Ultron, and First Avengers, like it really was just a toss up of which went where, right? You can't go wrong with any one of those 3.
It's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think to your point, the team up movies end up ranking a little higher for me. Like most of the team ups where you get the core characters are pretty high on my list. So, even the newer ones.
Yeah. So let's move on. Number 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Whoa. Yeah, great movie. Still a great movie.
Yeah.
Also,
I'm going to say the most rewatchable.
Yeah, it's just a fun, just a fun movie.
I remember genuinely just really enjoying every single minute of that movie in the theater. Yeah. Just it kept me engaged. I didn't want it to go, be over from that opening scene where he's in the cave dancing along to the song. It's so good.
Yep. Right. You're like, I want this to keep going on forever. And then you get Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and you're like, oh no, make it stop.
Yeah. Stop.
Yeah. What happened to you?
Yeah. But you know what? So coming back to redeem himself, James Gunn.
Yeah.
For number 3.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
crazy.
so excited.
Okay, that's huge news. That's huge news. Like
it's pretty awesome. It was surprising, I gotta say, because Disney changed their mind. They don't normally do that, but they probably saw we desperately need James Gunn back to finish this
and maybe they just thought about it more too and were like, hey, what he said wasn't really that bad. Maybe the context was, a little blurry and
he also said he apologized for it. Like, and I think
that's too, man.
Like I said, if you're able to come out and apologize against your past transgressions, like I said, you shouldn't. Like I said there's certain things I said that are unforgivable and things like that. But at the same point in time, like I said, it just there's if we can all move past it, like I said, we can all basically learn lessons from it. Let's learn lessons from it and move on. So I'm glad that he's back, and I'm glad that Disney gave him another chance, and I think that just goes kind of like, what, there are second chances out there, just so as long as you're willing to take them.
Well said.
So let's jump into number two was Avengers Infinity War.
Yes.
Surprise.
Yeah. That one was not a shocker that it ended up in either the 1 or 2 spot basically for most of us.
No, it was a great movie.
Yes. It was so good. And like I just talked about, the team ups got better as it went on, and this was a great example of that. The way they split the teams up, everyone felt like a huge piece to the movie, and they're all so well done.
Yeah, even though there's dozens of characters, it felt like everyone got appropriate screen time. Yeah, it was really well handled.
Yeah, everyone got appropriate screen time, and then it was like I said, there was no lulls either. It was like this. It was basically nonstop, and then basically shifting perspectives, like from character arcs to character arcs. Plus, I said, I think this is the first Avengers movie that brought real emotion for the characters too.
Yeah,
like I said, that whole Gamora death scene, like I said, just the music that ties with that, and this kind of the whole scenery and kind of build up to that. So it actually was an emotional part of the movie as well. And I think that Endgame is just going to be, like I said, just elevate it to the next level.
Infinity War is number 1 for me.
So cool. So let's go to the STS Guys. Number 1, reigning champion at number 1 of the rankings, Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, solid spot. Like,
yes,
yeah, great movie.
Such a great movie.
It's been my number 1 since the first time I started doing rankings in my head.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a lot to dethrone Winter Soldier, right? Cap was great. Black Widow was great. Nick Fury was great. The story's fun. It's a good movie.
It was that first real movie where you just kind of went like, oh shit, like while you're watching it, when the whole Hydra thing happens.
Yes.
Like, it's a mind-blowing reveal.
Well, it's that.
And I think it's important that I just said it's a good movie and not just a good superhero movie.
Yeah,
it was just a good movie.
Yeah, that's the point that I was going to make. It's like I said, you could basically take a person who hates comic book movies to that movie. Like, say, for example, say the older generation that may not, like I said, appreciate the MCU from a spy type thriller type of drama action movie. Like it has all that. You don't have to be a fan of a comic book movie or Captain America to be able to enjoy that movie. Like I said, it's a good all around movie.
Yeah,
you could replace that with a character, say, with a well-known name of like maybe Jack Ryan, and people would have been like, "Oh, it's a great movie! Like, there's so much cool stuff."
Dominic
totally.
Toretto.
Yeah, that's Fast and Furious 9.
No one.
Yeah, what is it? That's Fast and Furious 15. As they're gonna start bringing them in. Captain needs our help. Family sticks together.
Brian comes back as an evil guy.
Yeah.
Oh, then they'll just use that, right? They'll use Disney's face stuff that they used to make Nick Fury look younger. They'll use that to bring back Paul Walker.
Well, and one thing I love about Winter Soldier is that highway fight scene is so badass. When Captain America and Winter Soldier are going against each other, you're just seeing them fight, and I gained some new respect for Captain America after watching that. Like, damn, that guy can hold his own.
Yeah. No, it was the one movie where I could sit and see watching and getting to be able to forget about the whole interconnectedness of the movie, because you were just engaged in that story of who's the good guy, who's a bad guy, how's this going to turn out. It's Jimmy called it a spy thriller.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. It's a spy movie. It's
he
superhero spies.
He takes an RPG to the shield.
No, well, so I have something I've also noticed too. This is why I'm anxious to get for you guys to do your homework and actually go back and watch First Avenger too. Is in that First Avenger movie, you forget how much of a badass Captain America is. Like, he goes in, like I said, in later movies, he's not killing people. In First Avenger, he's freaking murdering people because he comes in busting out with guns drawn and starts blasting everybody.
The fact that he carries a gun in that one and uses a Colt 1911 as his main weapon, and he just he kicks it a door, the people
starts opening fire and wasting everybody.
Yeah, shooting people. But forget the fact that he uses his shield to knock people out of trees in that one too, and people fall into their death.
It's okay, guys. It's Nazi Hydra. Nazi Hydra.
Exactly.
That's fair, because really when I think of that movie, the first thing I think of is the skinny CG Chris Evans, not the Captain America superhero fighting Nazis Chris Evans. So it's time for a rewatch.
Nah, it's definitely worth a rewatch. Okay, speaking of the de-aging though, because I know we just talked about the Nick Fury de-aging.
Yeah.
what do you guys think about the Coulson de-aging?
Yeah, dude, that was the thing that Jeremy and I had to talk about, like the Coulson de-aging, just the.
I think I know the scene you're talking about, and it didn't bother me that much. Like, I almost wondered if it was like he was making that like stoic face because he was a Skrull. Was it the scene in the car when he was a Skrull?
No, there's one where he's
like in an elevator, like in the stairwell or something.
No, there's the stairwell one is bad, but it's when like one of he like tells him that the he's in the car with him, and the real Coulson's like, what do you mean? Kind of thing. Like he then looks at this direction, and his face looks like it looks like a Ken doll. It looks like a Ken doll. He's so
just because I have to do it.
Okay, Jimmy, pull it up what you're talking about. So yeah, no,
I thought the de-aging was really. I get the scene you're talking about, but seeing Coulson back was such a treat. It was such a cool thing about that movie. It's one of the things I loved about Captain Marvel, like I said, is those throwbacks. Yep. And Nick Fury looked awesome. It looked like young Samuel Jackson to me.
Speaking of Nick Fury, though, Jeremy, we didn't get to talk about how Nick Fury loses his eye.
Yeah, somebody asked that earlier. I was going to say we should talk about that.
Yeah, because
Goose, baby.
I love the fact that in reality it's basically a cat scratch.
Yeah.
But when he goes to okay, that's on Jeremy.
There it is.
There he is. Kendall Clark Gray.
Look, he's got the Jay Leno chin too.
Yeah,
it's just okay. It's not very good.
It looks very weird. But that
Freeze
was the only
frame
call
like
out.
that.
Like, yeah, it's so it's not bad. Like,
back to how he lost his eye.
Yeah, so how he lost his eye. Like, imagine the fact that he gets to go to Earth and say this alien thing called a Flurgan destroyed my eye, and everyone's like, "Oh, you fought this badass alien," but in reality, it was basically a cat scratch.
Yep. Well, doesn't he say later on in one of the movies, like somebody asked him what happened to his eye, and it's like somebody he trusted, or like he thought he trusted. It's a freaking cat.
It was a Flurgan.
It's pretty good.
Didn't really. That's one of the things about the movie I didn't like as much. I just thought it was because they had such a. Why didn't they just have him lose his eye in that first crash? I just felt like
that was a teaser, man.
Teaser. Yeah. You think it's going to happen, but it doesn't happen.
I think they went for kind of that comical thing because, like I said, he gets to claim an alien did it.
True.
But we, as the audience, you get to see kind of what that alien was.
I knew after it didn't happen the crash, I'm like, all right, it's going to happen some goofy moment, and we're just going to be like, really? That's how he lost his eye, Nick Fury? Yeah. But I mean, it was funny nonetheless. It was cool.
I like Goose. Like it was fun. Like I think you guys mentioned it last week. Like I hope we see more of Goose in some way, which I think the general consensus is everybody loves Goose, so he's gonna be back.
I just can't wait to see a bunch of little girls carrying around Goose stuffed animals with the tentacles coming out the mouth.
Larry, you're completely right though. Everyone loves Goose, and Scott, you're right. The little girls. There's a particular someone that's in my house that once I saw the Goose Funko Pops with the tentacles, had to get that one and the chase from shumistore.com.
Nice.
You too can order the Flurkin Goose set from shumistore.com and use code STS Guys to save yourself 10%.
10%.
Yeah, so head over to shumistore.com and enter code STS Guys to save yourself 10%.
It's a great idea.
Who doesn't like saving money?
You know what else you can get at Shumi Store? You can get that Charizard pop. Keep your Pokemon set complete, guys.
Gotta catch them all.
Yep.
Like STDs.
Well, that. And then another thing you can get too is said you can also order. So Shumi has some of the best, like honestly, soft pop protectors.
I choose you, chlamydia.
Herpes simplex, go.
So about the soft protectors, Jeremy, are all those pops on that shelf behind you in Shumi Store branded pop protectors?
The majority of them are, and I actually just ordered some more for our trip to San Diego Comic-Con.
Nice, good idea. I need to do that too.
Good thing. You probably should because they're not due to the store till May, so we might want to put your order in now.
Yeah. No, good idea.
Guys.
Good call out.
So you're that order that bought the goose bundle and the pop protectors that I saw hit our page.
Yep.
Mystery solved. Yeah.
Cool.
That works. So I think, Larry, I think we've gone through all the stuff we need. Let's hear that shill.
So a couple things, right? Next week on the STS Guys, if everything goes as planned, we're going to have a special guest. Last week, Jeremy and I were on episode 146 of Talkin' Pops. Well, next week, Mike and Josh from Talkin' Pops are going to join us right here live with the STS Guys. So we'll be talking some pops with Talkin' Pops.
Whoa.
Crazy. So yeah, look forward to that. They are currently at Emerald City Comic Con. So we'll be talking about how they got started with their podcast. We'll be talking about their Funko collections. We'll be talking about the cons they've been to, like ECCC, and they were just at New York Toy Fair and stuff. So if you collect pops, you definitely don't want to miss that one. And I know you're gonna happy that Instagram's back up. So go check us out on Instagram at STS Guys. We are on Twitter at STS Guys, and we are on the Facebook at the STS Guys. And I am Larry from the STS Guys.
Shown like a villain.
Pow pow.
And I got a certain Lord of Apocalypse recently. Whoa. So you might see that unboxing hit our channel. So stay tuned.
Yep, STSguys.online takes you right to our YouTube page. I got some Funko stuff in the mail this week. So expect that Mezco unboxing from Nate. I think Jeremy's got some Funko stuff on the way too. So should be some pop unboxings coming real soon. Don't forget about that giveaway. That Super Mega Super Smash Bros. Prize Pack giveaway. Head over to stsguys.fun. Get your entries in. Get yourself some cool pops.
That sounds amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So, for this week's episode 75 of the STS Guys, I've been Jeremy.
Hey, it's Larry.
Hey, guys, it's been Nate.
And I'm Scott.
And we're the STS Guys. Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.